Hello and welcome to our free informational webinar where I'm going to take you through every step that a realtor performs when they sell your home so you can do the exact same thing all on your own. Now, the very first thing we're going to cover is we're going to talk about the key steps to selling your home. What is the key parts of the process that you need to pay attention to? The first thing is going to be your price. This is the key and most important piece of information that you can pay attention to, because if the price is not accurate and it's not right for the market, you're going to have some problems. And then we're going to talk about preparation, how to prepare your home for sale, what things you can do to get it in the best shape possible, to get the best price possible. And then we're going to talk about the marketing that you got to do. There's certain things that you need to do to get as many people to see your home as possible, because in the end, the more people that see the home, the more offers you get and the higher the price. We'll talk about what you need to do once it's on the market and once it's available for sale, because there's certain things that you'll want to pay attention to protect you and your family. Then we'll talk about the escrow process. What are the things you need to pay attention to make sure that all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed? And then finally, your closing. What do you need to pay attention to the closing? It's not as simple as some people think, and there's certain areas that we're going to focus on. Now, when it comes to pricing, as I mentioned, this is the key thing you need to focus on. Getting the right price is critical to the sale of your home. This is the part where if you don't have the right price, you're going to experience some turbulence and some difficulties in selling your home. And if you have just the right price, you're going to generate a massive amount of desire and multiple offers and generate a highest sales price possible. Now, we know this, that the difference between selling your home in a day or two or a week or 6 months is all determined by price. You can have the ugliest home or the most beautiful home, but in the end it comes down to, is your price representative of the market itself? Now, how do you determine the sale price? The very first thing you need to do is to figure out how fast do you want to sell your home, because that's what's going to dictate the price you set. You can set a price that's going to sell your home in a matter of days, or you can set a price that will probably keep your home on the market for months or even years. So the very first thing you need to do is, after you've determined the how fast you want to sell your home, is to take a look at all of the comparable sales in the area of ideally a mile or less around your home over the past 60 to 90 days. Now, the market can change pretty dramatically past 90 days. You can see completely different markets 3 months later or 3 months behind us. So 60 to 90 days is ideal. You want to look at the active properties on the market today, the properties that have already been sold, and pending sales. Now, just a key little tip that a lot of people don't know is that pending sales are an appraiser's best friend. They love pending sales more than anything else. Now, just knowing it's pending is one thing, but they want to know what it is it pending for, because that is the most current comparable available on the market right now. Sold is the next best one, and an active is just a reference point for you to look at and see what else is on the market and what they're charging. Now, the features of your home are going to also dictate what your sales price is going to be. Do you have certain features that other homes in the neighborhood don't have? Do you have something that everybody wishes they had? Or have you done an addition? Have you remodeled or taken your specific model in that subdivision or that neighborhood and made it so much better than everybody else's? Or is yours maybe a little below par compared to everyone else's? All of these are things you have to think about when you're looking at your home features. Now, the biggest thing that you have to think about is not what do you need. The market really doesn't care what you need to sell your home for. The market will pay what the market price is at. And more importantly, the lender will not lend money to somebody on a home that is overpriced. So there has to be some information or data that really backs up the price you're asking. And then you're going to want to talk to some other agents in the area. Ask those agents, what you just sold this home over on 4th Street. What were the things about the home that got the price that you got? And then you can start comparing that to the things that you have in your home. Ideally, you talk to agents who have homes that are under contract or pending right now, find out what those are pending for, and then compare that to what you want to ask for your own home. So one of the biggest misconceptions out there is something called a Zestimate, and that's put out there by Zillow. And Zillow even says on their own website that the price that they're telling you on their Zestimate is probably not accurate. So be very careful. Do not price your home based on a Zestimate from Zillow. Even Zillow's own CEO, Spencer Rascoff, said the average, or excuse me, the median price of their Zestimates are all off by around 8%. Some markets, it's much more. Some markets, it's double digits. You can imagine if your home is selling for $800,000 and you're off by 10%, you just lost $80,000. So just know that a Zestimate is not something that you want to go by. Here's some of the counties in California, for example, with their median error rates. Something you want to avoid completely is using a Zestimate for a reference point to sell your home. So now that we know that, you need to think about something. Do you want to remodel your home or don't you want to remodel your home? Now this could be a matter of resources on your part. If you just don't have any resources to do a remodel, then you just do an as-is sale and you do all of your pricing according to that. Another option is, if you have some resources, to put your remodel dollars in the best place possible, because experience shows if you have a nice looking kitchen, you have a nice looking landscaping in your front yard where your curb appeal is really attractive, and you have a master bedroom suite that is nice looking, you're going to have a better response from buyers. So here's an example of a kitchen that is in what we call original condition. It's a nice way of saying yuck. But this is also a functional kitchen. It still works, and people for years and years have enjoyed this kitchen. Now you just have to understand that this kitchen is going to dictate the price that you can ask for your home versus having a kitchen like this. Now the difference between these two kitchens could be as little as $20,000 or as high as $50,000 as far as the remodel. Are you going to get that money back? Well, that's something you have to take a look at, and that's something you'll factor into your formula when you're determining your price, because it's not cut and dry. It's not an automatic that you will upgrade a kitchen. You have to look at the investment required and then how much you think that will net you on your sales price. So where do you really put your money? The key places are, like I said, the kitchen, your curb appeal, also the master bedroom suite, and then entertainment areas. Now those are what we call a nice to have, but they're really a wow factor. For example, when you have people in an open house and they walk into your house and they say, wow, it's beautiful from the front. I walk in and it's beautiful in the interior, and they walk out into the backyard and there's this beautiful entertainment area for them. That's going to just packet it for most people, and automatically they're going to want to make an offer. So just know that very simple things go a long, long way. Here's an example of a home that we sold, and this house sat on the market for 6 months. And the house that sat on the market for 6 months is the one on the top here. Now, when I first took over this listing, I immediately walked up and knew what to do, because you look at this here and the house is hidden behind a hodgepodge of bushes. So what we did is we cleared out all of this frontal landscape here and trimmed everything back to expose the home itself and make it a clear, clean line. We sold this house in a matter of a couple weeks after the prior agent let it sit for 6 months, all because we just did some simple cleanup. Guess what we had to spend here? About $500. That was it, to make such a dramatic difference. Sometimes it's just a matter of cleaning some things up and doing some simple modifications. You don't have to spend a ton of money to make a big impact. Here's another example of a house that we took over. It was deferred. People were not taking care of it. You know, it was an older person and they just couldn't take care of the home. So all we did was we came in and we cleaned it all up, and we We just made it more presentable and tidied things up. Yet we kept the lovely mature roses and mature fruit trees on the property, and so we kept the character of the home but made it more appealing at the same time. So those are the things that you can do just on the front of the home on curb appeal. Very simple things that cost less than $1,000 and make a dramatic difference to potential buyers on the market. So the next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to get inspections done before you go on the market. Do not put it on the market, let the buyers do inspections, and have things appear. Why would you want to spend a little bit of money on inspections? Well, one of the key things is because you want to avoid landmines. A landmine is something that you get multiple offers, ideally, and then you get an offer in, you accept it. It's everything you want it to be. They come in, they do an inspection, and they find something that you just really didn't even know about or just didn't really pay attention to because it didn't affect your livability. However, when someone's spending hundreds of thousands of dollars or millions of dollars on a home, they want it to be as perfect as possible. So things that you may or may not think are that big of a deal may be a big deal to them, and that can kill the deal because they will likely have a contractual contingency that allows them to get out of the contract if they find something in inspection they do not like. So first of all, avoid landmines. And then it gives everybody a clear understanding and shows that you're an open book. You're not trying to hide anything or there's nothing unseen that anybody has to worry about. Everybody knows exactly what they're dealing with, and it's also just gives peace of mind to potential buyers, and it'll probably save you money. Now, how is that? Well, spending a few $100s on a home inspection and a pest inspection is a small price to pay if somebody gets under contract, buys your home, and finds something that you neglected to disclose to them, and later on they come back and they sue you for $20,000 or $30,000 or more. In addition, if they cancel the contract, you lose time on market. So the home has been on the market for a period of time. You get under contract, and inspections are done, and 3 weeks later, everyone's walking away from the table because of something nobody knew about, or you just forgot to disclose. And you can highlight all of the wonderful upgrades you've done if you decided to invest in some upgrades. You can point those out because it's going to be a nice, clear part of the inspection. And there's just something that everybody gets out of this, and again, it's peace of mind. Everyone just wants to know that if it's going to be a clean sale and there's no hidden agendas and there's no hidden defects anywhere, and this does that for you. Now, something that I didn't mention is that it also tells you the things you need to fix before you even go on the market. So maybe some things come up and you're like, wow, I really should not put it on the market with this because someone's going to not like that, and it's going to get pointed out, and it may deter people from buying the home. So it tells you some of the things you need to fix before you even go on the market. Now the next key piece is highly critical to the price you get, or the actual sales price you get for your home, because marketing is the thing that separates a home that gets a little bit of attention and a home that gets a lot of attention. The whole goal of marketing when selling a home is to get as many sets of eyes on your house. The more people who look at your home and see the beauty of it and how wonderful it would be to live there with their families, the better. And the more people that are interested in your home, the higher the price you're going to get. In fact, we call it the auction effect, where you get as many people as possible interested. You get multiple offers and people start trying to outbid each other because they want to win that house. And the key to really having the best sale price possible and the shortest amount of time on market is the marketing that you do. Now, what are some of the things that you can do to generate the highest sales price possible when you do your marketing? Well, the key thing is this. When you do that marketing and you get those multiple offers, you can simply put a sign in the yard. That's the very first thing you want to do. At a minimum, you want signage so that when people drive by, it generates buzz. And they talk to people who talk to people who talk to people. And it also tells your neighbors, hey, if you have somebody and you want your friend to live near you, our house is going to be available for them. So those are the kind of things you want to do first, is to get a sign in the yard. Then it needs to be put on the multiple listing service. Now, as a non-licensed realtor, or you cannot put it on the MLS. So you can go out and you can hire, sometimes you can hire a realtor just to put it on there for you for a small fee, and they'll get that on the MLS. But that's critical because the vast majority of sales are done through the MLS, because you have people who are looking every day for that information and for that special house. Then you want to hold open houses. Why is that? Well, if you don't hold an open house, then how are people going to see your home? When you hold the house open, people can come in and they can get past the pictures and see the real house itself, how it flows, what it's like to walk through it, and get a better experience with the upgrades you've done and the house, the home itself. And then you put it on the broker's tour. The broker's tour is something that happens every week with the local realtor community. And this is the way for brokers to see the latest homes that have come on the market, talk to the person that's selling the home, usually it's the listing agent, and get a kind of a head start on a possible home for one of their buyers. And then next you want to put it on Google+. Now, what's Google+? Well, on the left is more of our localized marketing, the kind of marketing we do that's more boots on the ground. The other side, or the right side column, is all of the marketing we're going to do online, because 98% of home buyers today start their search online. So you want to have a really, really strong presence online and get as many eyeballs as possible. You can even get international buyers by using this method. So we put it on Google+. Then we recommend you do some Facebook ads to drive more people to your home. You use something called Google AdWords to generate local search traffic to your home. Then you're going to want to set it up in Google Maps, because again, it creates local search traffic and gets as many people as possible looking at your home. You'll put it on something called Google Earth Pro. Then you can put it on Zillow, because Zillow, despite the Zestimate issues, is still one of the highest traffic websites on the real estate. In fact, it's top 5. We put homes on all of the top 5 real estate based websites. Zillow is one of those, along with Trulia. Yahoo Homes, which a lot of people don't even realize is in the top 5, Realtor.com, and Redfin. So each of these require you to put directly on their sites your home. But again, it's going to be seen by thousands and thousands of people versus just a few people in the local market. And then you're going to want to shoot a video of your home and put it on YouTube, because people love video as a way to get kind of a virtual tour of the home. Then you need to set up a property website, get it on social networks, because if you can get the right social network buzz, you're going to generate an additional thousands and thousands of eyeballs on your site. So on the left, do all of these things over here locally, and then on the right, do all of these things over here online. So all of this stuff creates something called search engine optimization, or SEO. When you get SEO, you get buyers coming out of the woodwork that normally wouldn't have seen just your sign or the broker's tour. You'll get people coming from out of the area who potentially might be transferring into the area or relocating. And this is key, because the greater your SEO, the greater your sales price in the end. So a couple other final pieces of your marketing, and again, this is one of the most critical areas of selling your home, is to remember 93% of people start their search for their homes on the internet. The very first thing you want to do is to shoot a video. After you get your home all fixed up, you've done your curb appeal landscaping, you've done some remodeling on the interior, and then you have it professionally cleaned. Nothing against your own ability to clean, but hire professionals to come in and clean the stuff, because what happens is this: when you're around something all the time, you see it in a different perspective as somebody who is walking into it for the first time. So you want somebody who is a professional cleaner to clean it for you before you do your video and shoot your high quality photos. Make sure that you're not being cheap on the photos. Your images are going to be spread all over the internet, and you want to make sure they're really high quality. Now, some cell phones do have enough of quality to put on the internet, and some don't. If you don't, hire somebody to take the pictures for you for as little as like $200 or $200 or $250. You can have somebody professional come in and shoot pictures of your house, and you'll be amazed at the difference between doing that yourself. So you've done all the preparatory work so far. You've got the home ready for sale. You've done all the marketing we talked about, and you're ready to go on the market. So on the market, of course, means that your home is officially available for somebody to buy. Now, that's a term that you'll hear used, but just know that that's all that means, is that your home is officially available to purchase. So what do you do next? Well, you hold open houses. And it's your choice. You can hold what's called a twilight open house, which is usually during the week and in the evening hours, maybe 7 to 9. You can host something for just your neighbors to preview the house before it goes on the market officially. Or you can hold your open houses on the traditional times, which is on a Saturday or a Sunday, usually between the hours of 12 and 5, 1 and 5, 1 and 4, things of that nature. That's kind of the typical times you'll see that. So when you hold an open house, you want to figure out when it's going to be and what time, of course, and then you got to talk about security. So depending on the size of your home, you're going to want to make sure that, you can't be everywhere all the time. So while people are walking through your home and you're showing to them, make sure you've secured all prescription drugs. Put the prescription drugs away or lock them in a cabinet somewhere. But do not have prescription drugs sitting out. Do not have valuables like jewelry and that sitting out. There are people, bad people, in the world, and I hate to break that to you, but there are people that go to open houses looking for things to steal. And that's why, as a realtor, we are surveying the area constantly, the people in the home, and making sure that they're there just to see the home and not to do any harm to its contents. Then you're going to talk about presentation. When you present the home during the open house, it's critical you don't get too personal. So since it's your house, you don't want to get into discussions about neighbors. You don't want to get into discussions about the weird things that your home does at night. Just present the home as if it's just as kind of a matter of fact thing. You have to put your emotion aside and your own attachment to the home to the side. And make sure you offer some bribes. Bribes are things like cookies, drinks, bottled water, things like that. Some people do very fancy things like wine and cheese for their twilight open houses, or things of a fancier nature. But I would offer something. It's just kind of a nice way for people to feel at home while they're looking at the house. And then you want to make sure you gather information as people come through. Ask them what they think of the home, why they think that, what would they change, things of that nature, because you want to gauge people's feedback. And you want to know, do I have the right price? It just kind of confirms your price and confirms the value of the home that you've set. So get all that feedback, keep notes on it, write it down, and then gather people's contact information along with that, and that'll be great. So you've done all this stuff. You've got yourself to the point where you're ready to take offers. Now, every offer is the same, right? An offer is an offer. Not at all. There can be huge differences between offers. The first thing you want to do is ideally you want to get multiple offers, because that's going to generate the highest sales price possible. And you want to take a look at something very, very important. That's something we call the strength of an offer. Now, the strength of an offer is a combination of factors. Sometimes the highest priced offer is not the best offer. I'll be honest with you. A lot of times it's not, because the reason they're asking such a high price is they just want to get under contract and lock up your home, because once they have it under contract, nobody else can put in an offer. There may be some things behind the scenes you're not aware of. How's their financing? What kind of terms are they offering? Are you sure that they can come up with what they say they can come up? Let's say somebody's going to offer $800,000 for a home, and they don't have the money to pull that off. They may have a pre-approval letter from some rinky-dink company that just gave it to them based on some information that they provided. They're not really qualified for that. Why would somebody do that? Because they really want the house, and they're going to try to finagle a way to get it sold, get it purchased. However, that's not a strong offer. A strong offer is going to have really good terms. Terms are things like your down payment, your contingency periods. Contingencies are things like financing. If I say I want to buy your home and I'm going to get a loan for $700,000, can I really get a loan for $700,000? That's a huge, huge piece of this whole puzzle. And I have a contingency in a contract that says if I can't get my loan, I don't have to buy our house, and everybody walks away from the table pretty much. And you don't want to do that because you've lost time and money. Remember, there's always a cost to things. And then, what kind of down payment are they giving you? Are they giving you 3%? Are they giving you 1%? You know that they don't even have to give you a down payment? Yeah, that's what I said. The contract does not require that a down payment is given. That's just a show of good faith. What if they want to give you a down payment in the form of other property? What if they want to give you a down payment in the form of a luxury yacht? You know that all of that is possible. It's not just about money. Sometimes a down payment can be a summer home somewhere else that somebody owns free and clear, and they want to throw that in as the down payment. All things of value. So things can be very, very creative. And then also you want to make sure, who are they using for escrow? What title company is it? Is it a legitimate one, or is it some fly-by-night operation? Also, you want to look at what kind of financing they're doing again. Are they paying all cash? Are they paying a significant amount in cash? How much are they actually financing? These are some of the most critical things you need to review when you're looking at, say, 5 offers. You have 4 of them that are in one price range and one is way out of the price range. You have to factor in all of these pieces, because if you choose the wrong offer, you're going to lose time and money. So the contract itself is, it can be as little as 1 page, or you can use we use something called a California Association of Realtors contract, CAR contract. Currently it's 8 pages. Just a few years ago it was 4. Why does it keep growing? Because people sue. So the fact is this: when people sue over a real estate related item, the Association of Realtors goes back, reviews the contract, and these are probably 8 to 10 attorneys who are doing this. They review the contracts and they make sure they've covered every possibility that exists. And they put that in the contract, and things are disclosed and things are agreed upon. So that's why you can go out, you can get a really simple 1-page contract, but know that it's only going to be as basic as sales price, closing date, things like that. The CAR contract we use covers all other possibilities that are available out there. I mean, it takes everything that's in that contract is based on a legal issue that has arisen in a transaction, and they cover that every time. Now, escrow. What's escrow's job in all of this? That's something you got to think about, because a lot of people think, oh, I just turn it over to the escrow people and they do everything. Not at all. Escrow has a minor part. So you've done all these things. You've done all your work to get your house ready. You've accepted an offer, and you're finished pretty much, right? Once you've accepted an offer, it's a piece of cake, right? Time to party. Or is it? No, because now you're in escrow. And this is where it gets probably the most difficult. Once you're in escrow, you have done a huge amount of work just to get to this point. The thing about escrow is you have to make sure you use a company that is very good and very experienced and has a track record of success. Because if you use somebody who's not good at what they do, they can kill your transaction. They can miss a timeline, and they can literally cause your transaction to be canceled. So you must pick somebody who you've used. Ask around. I would talk to other realtors. Ask realtors out there, who do you use and why? So what's the first thing you do when you get into escrow? Well, you gotta sit there and determine who does what, what's my responsibility, what's their responsibility, and who's going to manage things. I'll be honest with you. Oftentimes, I'll be in a transaction or a sale with somebody, and the other agent is not the brightest or not the sharpest knife in the drawer. And I'll end up doing both sides of it because it's got to get done and it's got to get done well, or otherwise everybody loses. So you figure out who does what do they need to do, and what do you need to do. How long should escrow be? Do you know that it's not cut and dry? Do you know that if it's a cash sale, it's a different escrow period typically than a financed contingency period? Did you know that there's changes in the title process that can affect the contingency period? What if you pick a contingency period of 25 days and there's no way they'll get the loan done before 45 days? Guess what? You're going to be out of contract and the whole deal could fall apart. So pick how long it's going to be based on the strength of the offer, the financing that's involved, and if it's a cash offer or there's going to be a loan involved. All of that factors into how long your escrow is going to be. So escrow, again, is just a clearinghouse. What they do is they're a check and balance, and they are only there to enact or enforce the instructions of the buyer and the seller. The agents don't have any say. And a lot of people think the agents kind of run the show. Absolutely not. They just facilitate once it's in escrow. So escrow is facilitating, making sure that the instructions that are in the contract are executed to their perfection and to make sure that everything comes to a successful close of escrow. So now's when it gets kind of nitty-gritty, and this is a real nail-biting time for everybody involved, because this is where most transactions fall apart, because somebody forgot to put something somewhere or to put in the proper paperwork and what have you. So this is where your disclosures must be done, and your disclosures must be perfectly executed. In addition, this is where buyers can do inspections. They can either use the inspections that you did. A lot of people do their own inspections because they just want to have that second look at things. And then this is where credits come in. So the first thing you want to talk about is what's the earnest money deposit? If they're putting in a deposit, how much is it, and what do you do with it? They don't give you a check and you hold on to it. That's a bad idea. That's going to end up in court somewhere along the way. So what you do when you get your earnest money deposit is ideally don't even take it. Just have the escrow company, after you've opened up your escrow at the escrow company, have the buyer take it directly in themselves and put it into escrow. Then you have no liability in the whole matter. Don't touch the money. And then the disclosures. This is the most critical part of the whole process around the contract. You must make sure that you have all of the proper disclosures done and completed and signed off. So whatever signatures or initials that are required, they have to be done, and you want to have those in place, because if something goes sideways through the escrow process or after escrow is closed, you can point back to the disclosure and say, right here I told you that the pool leaks, or I told you this and I told you that. If you don't disclose it up front and everybody's aware of it, later on they can come back and they can sue you for damages. So make sure you disclose everything first of all, be totally upfront, and make sure you have it all in writing and everybody has signed off on it. And then this is where they can do their inspections again. They can do their own termite inspection, their own pool inspection, roof inspection, chimney inspection. They have the right to inspect everything they want. It's just a matter of what do they want to pay for. So most people just do a home and termite inspection, but if there's a pool, that'll be part of the inspection process as well. And most people, depending on the roof condition, will just let the home inspection cover that for them and the pest. But if they're concerned, they'll have a roof inspection done as well, because it's worth a little bit of money to do that. And then credits. Wow, credits can get very creative. You can offer credits to the buyer for something that you didn't know existed. They can come in and do their inspection and say, oh, you know what? We just noticed that your fence is about to fall down. So you can give them a credit for the cost of putting in a new fence, which means they get a little bit of money on their side of the ledger at the end of the deal. Credits can be all kinds of things. You can be very, very creative on the credits, and you can include furniture. You can do basically whatever you want to negotiate with between the buyer and the seller is doable. It's just a matter of everybody agreeing upon it. So credits can be a creative way to make a transaction successful for everybody. And you want to make sure you get a homeowner's insurance policy. As a seller, one of the best investments you can make, and it's usually about $300 to $400 at the most, is to get a homeowner's insurance policy for the home. And what that does is you can get one that covers the period of time you are on the market in case something goes awry, and you can cover the first year after the transaction is closed. So after the sale is done, the house, most of the major things in the house are covered, and it gives, again, peace of mind to the buyer that you want to make sure that you take care of them just like they're taking care of you in the process. So very, very small amount to pay in the grand scheme of things, and well worth it. Now, the inspections that most people do, again, are the pest inspection, the home inspection, fireplace, pool, and roof. There's other things you can do, but those are the primary ones that people are going to have done. So know in advance, if you don't do these kind of inspections, they're more than likely going to do those, and those inspectors are going to look for everything under the sun, especially the home inspector. They look at everything possible, and they're so concerned about getting sued themselves that they point out every little thing, whether it's a big deal or not. Like a little raise in the concrete of a walkway, and they'll call it a trip hazard, and everybody will flip out. It's the smallest of things. So just know that those things are going to happen. And then when you get your disclosures done, the key disclosures, I'll tell you this, that the California Association of Realtors, in their recommendations of all of the disclosures that should be done in a typical sale, this is a residential home, they recommend 36 different disclosures, initialed and agreed upon by everybody. So you can imagine that covers everything under the sun, because, again, they are looking to cover everybody in the transaction. So if you don't do disclosures, it's very simple. Probably end up in a lawsuit. So if you don't disclose something that's wrong with your home, or you don't utilize all of the disclosures that are recommended by the California Association of Realtors, you're opening yourselves to litigious activity, and that's something that nobody wants. But just know, be honest, be upfront, or something bad will happen down the road more than likely. Now, credits, like I said, you can do credits for all kinds of different things. Generally, credits are done for repairs. So if there's something that comes up in an inspection or somebody sees after they've already gone under contract, they can say, what can you throw in a credit for, $3,000 to repair this item, and they'll throw it in. You can do it before you go under contract as well. So an offer may come in, and depending on the market, they may or may not ask for the credit before you go under contract. So they may come in, see your home, and say, well, you know what, we really like your house, but we're just concerned about the fence again, and could you throw in a little bit of money for that? And then at that point, it's open to negotiation. Then there's unseen issues. Those are the things that come up in an inspection that nobody saw or were not visible to the naked eye. So an inspector may find something, and everyone goes, uh-oh, I didn't know there was a crack in the foundation. Okay, that's a game changer. So then you start looking at, well, how can we make this successful for everybody involved? And you can come up with a credit to repair that sort of damage by getting an estimate and agreeing upon a value. Very simple, but it's a possibility. And you can also offer a credit for a quicker close. Give an example. You have somebody who's offering to buy your home, and they say they want a 45-day escrow, and you're like, wow, I'd really like to be done in 30. What if I give you $5,000 credit, which is basically $5,000 off the sales price, in order to move your close up to 30? And if you agree upon that, then you just throw that into the transaction. So in the end, it's all about whatever the buyer and seller agree upon. You can really be very creative in negotiating things to make sure everybody is successful in the end. So the whole idea is that everybody's happy and everybody is upfront and honest from the buyer's side and from the seller's side, because the buyers can be just as dishonest, because they may not be completely forthcoming in how they're going to buy this house. And that's why you really have to check out the qualifications of their, or if they're paying all cash, you can't just take that at face value. If somebody says they're going to give you $700,000 cash for your house, you need to make sure they prove it. You want to get, and you have the right to ask for proof of funds, proof that they have that money. So you can ask them to provide you with bank statements, complete bank statements that are from a recent period to prove they have the money they say they have. Don't feel nervous about asking for proof that somebody has the funds that they say they have in order to buy your house. Now, I'll tell you what, you have to really, really take a look at that whole buy it financing piece. Just stop, take a moment, and consider this, because buyer financing is generally the main reason that transactions fall through and they do not complete. The first thing that is generally an issue is the appraisal, especially in a market where you have accelerating property values or decelerating property values. The flatter the values and sale prices of homes over a period of time, the more likely the appraisal is going to be just fine. In a market like this, where the price of a home is significantly increasing, or in a market where the price is significantly decreasing, then the appraisals can be an issue, because the appraisals have not caught up to the values of the homes on the market, because the market values are changing so rapidly. So that's going to be one big issue in most transactions, and that's why you really have to take a look at the offers that you're accepting. If you accept an offer that's $50,000 over everybody else's price, everybody better understand that if you can't get a loan for what you're offering, you're going to have to come out of pocket with the rest of the money cash. I'm talking about on the buyer side. Then you have underwriting. Underwriting is where they go and they look at, this is the buyer's lender. If it's a loan involved, the buyer's lender is going to take a hard look, second and third look at the value of the house. They're going to look at the qualifications again, and God forbid the buyers did something like buy a car while they were in escrow, because things like that can kill their approval, and if their approval gets killed, the deal is generally going to get killed as well. They don't want to do anything to affect their credit score. Buy something big, apply for new credit, things of that nature. These are all things that we check out ahead of time before we accept an offer. We check on who is the lender. Does the buyer understand not to make any crazy changes during this process and things of that nature? And then contingencies are, I mentioned it earlier, contingencies are things like, there's one for financing, where if any of the financing parts fall apart, like the appraisal doesn't come through, or their loan gets denied, they can get out of the deal generally unharmed, as long as they're within a contingency period that's agreed upon between the buyer and the seller. And then also you have a contingency for the property condition. So if something comes up in an inspection and nobody knew there was a crack in the foundation, and it comes up and nobody can agree upon a credit amount, they have the right to say, you know what, we don't want to pursue this home any further. Thank you very much. As long as they're within their contingency period, then that's something they have the right to do, and basically just cancel the transaction. Now, that's why when you're taking those offers originally, you want to look at all of the terms of the offer, not just the price. Don't get wooed by a high sales price, or you may take an offer with a crazy contingency period and leave the door open for them to back out any time they want. So here's the escrow process that everybody needs to manage from the buyer side and the seller side. Sellers have their responsibilities, buyers have theirs. This is something that if you request it from us, we can email this to you, but this is pretty much the process that takes place. And every step of the process has to be checked upon and make sure that things are moving along, because you have a timeline. You only have so many days to complete inspections, so many days to get the financing in, only so many days to decide whether or not that the buyer's going to move forward with this. And then if you miss your timeline, you're out of contract, and the deal can be canceled, and you can be out of luck and be sitting there with a house for sale, and the buyers are out. So something you want to pay very close attention to is your timelines that are taking place along the way. So at this point, you may be a little overwhelmed, and that's understandable because the process of buying and selling homes is not simple. It is very detailed, and there's a lot of room for error, and that's why it's important to hire a professional. I mean, you may feel a little bit like this woman here because you thought, oh, all I got to do is put a sign in my yard and take an offer, and pretty much I'll be done. And there's far more to it because experience shows that the average sales price of a home is around 10 to 15% lower depending on if you use a realtor or not, because we use all of these tools at hand, from negotiating strategies, getting the right contracts, doing the right marketing, to ensure that the highest price possible is received. So understandable if you're a little overwhelmed, but know that it's all doable if you really want to get your home sold and for the highest possible price in the shortest amount of time. Now, if you would rather be sitting on the beach than doing all of this, then all you need to do is very simply hit the easy button. Contact us at 415-271-5703. We are in the East Bay area and are always available to help people like yourselves buy or sell a home. You can reach out to me at michael@4rta.com. And I thank you for your time here today, and know that this process can be, if you want to take it on yourself, then you now have all the tools necessary to do that. All you got to do is go back and rewatch the video and take notes along the way. So thanks for joining, and feel free to reach out at any time and get your information or questions answered. And this is Michael. Appreciate it. Have a good day.